So I'm filming the video for Unicorn Wonderland online class. Yeah, still filming in progress. So just now I was working on the project. I was live on the Facebook, but now I'm going to work on it a little bit. Yeah, did I use the wrong hook? Okay, that's fine. 6.5 is just slightly bigger. So yeah, this is all the setup that I have, and my eyes are squinting really badly because they're extremely bright, brighter than the sunlight. Even Uni-chan can't help it. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to shoot the video tutorial, so I won't be interacting with you that much, but you can take a look at what's going on behind the scenes. I might be repeating the things over and over and over again to get it right. So this is the Unicorn Wonderland workshop. That's these two things together. Okay. So I need to gather my thoughts. Where did I end off? So I need to do my chains. Okay, so I'm going to go on this. Yeah, I was answering a call. So now we are going to work on the foundation chain so that we can form the base of the magic pouch over here. So we are going to learn how to hold the yarn on your left hand. So it doesn't matter how you're going to hold it. I'm going to show you a way that's simple to hold for beginners. So along the way you might figure out new ways to hold it. So now, right, I just want you to make sure that your loop is always at the back of your hook, and your yarn, you hold it with your left hand and bring over to the front. So by doing this action, it's called yarn over. So you're going to yarn over, and I want you to hold it this way. 2 fingers going this way in, holding on to that long working yarn. So you fold it in, and using your thumb and your index finger, right, to hold on to the slip knot that you have created. So this is to make sure that nothing is moving, and therefore you can create your stitches with a better precision. So right hand, you're holding it this way. So right now, you see that the hook is facing you, and now I want you to make sure that the hook is facing down. So down this way, and therefore you can pull this through the loop like this. Okay, I'm going to pause because I think that my video is not very sharp, because yeah, so let me switch this, focus on my hand. Okay, switch it back. Okay, I think this might be better. So now we are going to learn how to make the foundation chains that will form the base of your magic pouch. Okay, so it's going to be an open loop, and we are going to work round by round until you reach the end. So there'll be color changes along the way as well. So how do we do this? So first, you have to make sure that you're holding your hook correctly, and this part here represents the size of your hook. So your loop should be flush towards the end and not over here, because as you can see, right, as you go towards here, your hook, the diameter of your hook gets thinner along the way. This is to ensure that there's enough space for you to hook your hook through with the yarn, of course, like this. Okay, so I'm going to break down the steps now. Okay, so step number 1, we are going to do a yarn over. So what is a yarn over? Basically, you just have to pull this long working yarn and bring it to the front, like this. Okay, so once you have gotten it like this, you are going to use your number 2 finger, this tool, and hold on to the yarn here, and you're going to fold your fingers towards the slip knot over here, and using your thumb and your index finger to hold on to the yarn. So now, right, I'm ready to pull this yarn through the loop. Yes, so you want to hold it this way to make sure that everything is tight, not extremely tight, but just tight enough so that you see I can hold everything without anything falling apart. So now that the yarn is trapped in the throat over here of the hook, I'll be able to hook the yarn through the loop. So when you're hooking the yarn through the loop, I want you to make sure that your hook is facing down this way, okay? Face down, and therefore you can drag this yarn over and through the loop that's in your hook. And in this way, you create one chain like this. So when I finish, flush all the way to the back again. So some of you might feel that your loop over here, right, is moving everywhere. So if you feel that way, you just have to use your right hand, one of fingers, probably your middle finger, to hold on to it so that it won't keep shifting apart. So when you're working on your yarn over, it stays there. So you can see how I hold it like this, then I pull it through. Okay, I'm going to repeat again. So make sure your right hand is holding on to a loop, yarn over, so simply bring the yarn from the back of your hook to the front, and hold on to a yarn and grab your working piece now, because it's getting longer. And some of you also might be holding further and further away from your hook. So just want to remind you that you should always put your thumb and your index finger right underneath your hook, because this is the only way to make sure that everything is in focus, in precision, held tightly together. So in this way, my hook is facing down again. You're not going to make it face up, it's not going to cross the loop. It has to be facing down and pull through the loop like this. Okay, so I'm going to repeat the steps again. Yarn over and pull through the loop. Yarn over and pull through the loop. Yarn over and pull through the loop. And just keep repeating all the way until it's long enough according to the pattern. Yarn over and pull through the loop. Yarn over and pull through the loop. Okay, so now can you see that I have a number of chains over here? So they should look nice like here, with a very nice V. So this, can you see your V? So it's just one stroke here and one stroke here. So this is your chain. Okay, so in order to count how many chains you have, you just have to count the V's. So this one V. So some of you might also have see something like this, which has a bump in the middle. This is still correct, but it might not be the nicest one. So this is to demonstrate to you that you might have stitches looking like this and they are still correct. So you don't need to worry. We just want to ensure that all your stitches are even. So like this, you might find that it's a little bit big. You can always take out and redo it again. So for this case, the back of your loop might have been pulled to the front because you have pulled it too tight. Yeah. But in my case, everything are still even, so therefore it's okay. So if you don't like it, just take it out and redo them. So once you have done it, you cannot make it back to what you want it to be again. You always have to undo them. Okay, yarn over and pull through. So I'm going to do more because I want to make the base of the pouch. Okay, so currently I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. Okay, so this is a demonstration purposes. So therefore, I'm just going to show you how it look like when you combine these chains to form an open loop like this. Because we are going to make the pouch by folding this in half like this. Then you're going to keep working in rounds to build a pouch that is tall enough. Okay, so now I have 23 chains. I'm going to show you how to join them together. So we are going to make sure that your chains are still facing you and it's not twisted. This is twisted. So you see halfway through it twisted. We don't want that to happen. You want to make sure that they are still all facing in one direction. Okay, so once you have figured that out, I want you to join the last stitch to the very first stitch over here. So in order to make things easier for you to see, I'm just going to put my finger in the middle and fold it in half like this. So when I reach to the front over here, it should be a nice loop with no twisting around. So once I found the first stitch, which is here, the very first V, I'm going to insert my hook in here. Yeah, so take notes, your loop might become loose. The loop that's on your hook might become loose. You just have to hold on to it and tighten it up. And now we are going to do our single crochet. So just now what we are doing are your chains. I'm going to make use of the stitch marker to help you in guiding you to do it correctly. So where your hook was, that was a loop. So we are not going to put a stitch marker in the loop, but the last chain that we have done. So you can see the last V that's over here, and this is where I'm going to put my stitch marker. Okay, so once I got that, I know that this is my very last stitch. And now I'm going to work on my first single crochet. So how do you do single crochet? So okay, the very first step, make sure that your hook goes into your first stitch over here, just into the loop that's on top. So do you see this is on top? So this is my direction right now. Recognize the V, and this is the direction that's on top of this. So I'm going to hold on to my yarn. So forget about your short tail, we are not going to use that anymore. So we are going to hold on to your long working yarn, and we are going to do our yarn over. So at this point of time, you also need to use your right hand, your middle finger, to help you to hold on to all the things that's going on over here so that it won't move around. So using your left hand, bring the yarn over to the front. Make sure you hold it the same way as you like to hold. And we are going to hold on to this part over here where your first stitch is. And we are going to pull this through that loop. So end up, how many loops do you have? You have 2 loops on your hook. So we are going to do one more yarn over. So this is the second yarn over. Yarn over, and make sure that hook is facing down. You pull through both loops one by one. Yes, so make sure you go through the 2 loops and you don't pull something out of the other, because it's quite common that you might do that. Okay, so now this is done. We go on to the next stitch. So can you see? Some of you might find it hard to identify which stitch you have done. So one of the things to take notes is that you should have, once you have done your stitches, you should have your yarns going into the stitch before. So this stitch tends to become bigger, but sometimes yours might not look as big or as recognizable as it is. So take note of where your stitches go into, because you can see how this loop on your hook is connected to the stitches here and here into the hole. So this is the big hole that we want to avoid. We always want to move on to the next one. So take note of this. So from here is connected to the next top line over here, and this is where you're going to insert your hook into. Okay, so now I'm going to go to my next stitch and insert my hook in here. Okay, so I have inserted my hook into the next stitch. I'm going to make sure everything is held closely together, and I'm going to yarn over. Okay, like this. So the yarn, so some of you might think that the yarn is really not on top or below or anywhere. It looks like it's just beside the hook. So yes, it's still yarn over. Yarn over just means that you're going to bring the yarn over the hook like this. So make sure that you don't do it twice, because it's a common mistake by many beginners, because they thought that this is not touching, it's not holding on at all, and you felt that it's going to become loose and fall off. So just make sure that this is a yarn over, and the yarn will be trapped in the throat over here, and make sure that you hold it as usual. We are going to pull this yarn through the first loop that's on your hook. So this is the first loop on your hook, and you have your 2 loops again, and then we are going to yarn over, and pull through both loops like this. Okay, so this is how you're going to work on your stitches into every single one of them. So just now we said that we have 23 chains, therefore we'll have 23 single crochet. So no more and no less. Okay, so we'll work on this together. So this is a test piece. I want you to do a test first before you start your actual project, so that you can minimize the mistakes and the time taken to work on it. So now I'm going on to my next chain, go in, yarn over, and pull through the first loop. Yarn over again, and pull through both loops. Okay, into the next chain, yarn over, pull through the first loop, yarn over, and pull through both loops. Yeah, so long as you identify every of your stitches, you won't be missing counts. But in case you are worried that you might have missed a stitch here and there, you can start counting now. So remember that this is your last stitch, and we are going to identify all the V's again. So this is the first V after your stitch marker. So this is a stitch marker, and from here it leads on to here, and therefore this is your first V. So first V, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and continue counting, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So therefore I'm correct till now. So this is the kind of checks you can do to ensure that you have not missed any stitches. So if you feel that you have missed some stitches, you do a check. If there is, you start to undo one by one. So I'm going to show you how I troubleshoot to make sure that I won't have this kind of problem when working on this pouch, because this pouch has 50 chains, and if you're going to redo 50 chains all the time, it will take you a really long time. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate what if I miss a stitch. So this stitch, I'm still doing it normally, and if I miss a stitch, let's say I missed this stitch over here, I jump over to the next one, because sometimes you might have a stitch that looks slightly smaller than the other, which is quite common as well, because you are still new. We won't be pinpointing on that. Yeah, but that might happen, and if you have that kind of situation going on, just remove it. So okay, so now right, I skip a stitch and go on to the next one. I count again. So this is my stitch marker. I don't count it. That's my last one. So I count from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. So now I only have 22 stitches, and what should I do? I'll take out my hook and I'll pull it out. And look carefully. So this is the one that I've done. So you can see that the loop becomes extended. So I look back. So is there one more stitch before that stitch? And this was the last stitch that I was working on. So this was the stitch that has been missing. Yeah, so I should be doing this stitch followed by this, followed by this. So now that you have identified where's your missing stitch, you can work on it. So oftentimes it's not easy to recognize where are your missed stitches. So you just have to keep looking, and if you see that there's a big gap in between, like let's say I skip 2 stitches, that would be more obvious. And I felt that when I opened this up, I felt that there's a huge gap. Yeah, it's hard, as you can see, it's really difficult to see it for sure, but you can see that every of your stitches feels tighter, but when it comes here, your stitch seems to be looser. So therefore, this gives you a warning that you should take out and check what is wrong. Yeah, correct. So now I can proceed on to the next stitch. So for some of you who have who would like to hold it in a different way, you can hold it like this. So this is my favorite way of holding, as I'm already very used to it. I'll twine it around my finger twice. So this is the long working yarn. Twine it around my index finger twice, and I'll hold on to my piece using my thumb and my middle finger. So the trick here is that you should not curve your finger. So if you start curving, everything will fall off. No matter how tight you're holding it, right, it will not hold on tightly. So if you want to work on this, you just have to make sure that this is always straight. Yes, like this. So now I can go on to my next stitch and do my yarn over and yarn over through both loops. So when you feel that you're too close, you just have to release your index finger slightly so that there's more space over here for you to work on. So insert your hook, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through both loops. So see how my left and my right hand will work together to make this work. Okay, it's perfectly right for you to do this way as well, and there are many ways of you to hold your yarn with your left hand. So don't be afraid to try different methods. Okay, so I'm going to continue all the way to the end, so you can follow me to work on this. Insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through the loop, yarn over and pull through both loops. Insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through the loop, yarn over and pull through both loops. Insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through the loop, yarn over and pull through both loops. Okay, so make sure to go into every single stitch all the way to the end. So I'm going to speed this up a little bit so that we can reach the end and figure out what to do next. Okay, so when I reach my stitch marker, this is when I'll take it out and I'll do my last stitch that goes into the last chain. So once I finish this, I'll put the stitch marker into my new last stitch, and this time, right, I'll be putting underneath the V. because your single crochet creates all these V shapes, and we'll be putting it underneath the V like this. So now you have an open loop, and if you stop here, you can actually wear it like a bracelet as well. Yeah. Okay, let me remove this off my hand. Okay, let me review my video. What if I never record just now? That'll be funny. Okay, play. This is how many minutes? 15 minutes long. So now we are going to learn how to make. Oops, too far away. Eh? Oh no, it got cut off. Why did it got cut off? So now we are going to learn how to. Oh no. It got cut off almost towards the end. Okay, so I have to redo the ending part. Yeah, that's some of those problems that we have with cameras. Okay, I put the stitch marker in one place. So now I'm working on my last few stitches towards the end. And when I reach the end, I'll have to remove the stitch marker and work into my last single crochet in the chain. And after I finish that, I'll just have to replace the stitch marker into my new last stitch. And this is how my single crochet looks like. So therefore there's the V that I have to go underneath to put my stitch marker, so mark my last stitch. So now you have finished this, you have to count how many stitches you have to ensure that you have not missed a stitch at all. So that's 1. Okay, I'm going to pull this out a little bit so that it's easier to count. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So therefore I have all the stitches done correctly, and I can work in the next round. So this also looks like a bracelet. So if you want to make some rainbow bracelet, you can do that as well. Okay. So now I'm going on to the next round, and we are actually going to work underneath the V like this. Okay, so make sure you don't pick up only one loop, not this, not this, but make sure you go underneath the V like this. So once you have gone underneath the V, we are going to do our single crochet. So the steps to do the single crochet do not change at all. So we are still going to do our yarn over and pull through the loop, except that this time we are pulling underneath the V. So yarn over, pull through the V, and yarn over, pull through both loops. So now you just have to keep doing that. Yarn over, pull through the V, yarn over, pull through both loops. Okay, make sure that you are going underneath the V. So you can see how my hook is underneath this V. Okay, then you do your yarn over and pull through the V, yarn over and pull through both loops, and repeat this all the way to the end. Insert your hook underneath the V, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through the two loops. So now we are reaching the end. So make sure that you pull out the stitch marker and do your last stitch and finish that up. So that you have 23 stitches again. So replace your stitch marker into a new last stitch and you can continue working on your piece. So now can you see how this will eventually looks like this? Yeah, so that's what you need to do. So now I'm going to show you how to change color. But before you change color, right, make sure that you do follow pattern and do those many rounds before you start to change color. And as you can see, when you change color, right, it will have that jagged look because we are working in loops, in spirals. So spirals do not connect into a full circle. They are actually slightly above one another, like how I'm showing you on my fingers here. So therefore, your yellow yarn comes here and it will end off here, and therefore you have to continue that way. So there's actually more than one way to do the changing of colors, but for beginner level, I'll say that we will work on this first, and along the way you can always upgrade your skills to make it less visible with different methods. Okay? Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to show how to change color. So I have this brown yarn. Yeah, these yarns are really thick. It's like a chocolate color. Okay, so now I'm going to continue my video. Okay, just want to get ready and record. Make sure camera is not moving. So now we are going to learn how to change color. Okay, I need to repeat this again. So now we are going to learn how to change color. So what we need to do is we are going to undo our last stitch halfway. So what do I mean by halfway? I'm going to just pull this out like this, leaving only the two loops like this. Yes, so this is the very last step before you do a yarn over and pull through to complete your stitch. So we are going to change our color midway, and this is the best way to make it look nice. So I grab hold of my brown yarn. I'm going to fold it in half like this and put it to my hook so that it can look through. So this part over here, right, you might find that everything is going to fall off. So I just want you to use all your fingers as much as possible to hold on to them. And now you can see how I'm holding on to the yarn and put it through the loop. Yeah, and everything will become a bit messy, like some can be quite loose because all of them are your loose ends. So not to worry, if you are worried that it will become very loose, just do your next stitch first. So I'm going to hold on to my new color, which is the brown, so make sure don't pull them, because when you start to pull to make it tighter, it's going to slip off sooner or later, because as you can see, this is not connected. Yeah, so I'm going to make sure I put it slightly longer, and everything's loose over here, let it be. I'm going to do my next stitch and do a single crochet like this. Yes, so once this is done, I will turn to the back. So pull the yarn here, pull the blue yarn, pull, yeah, that's all I can pull. These are the two yarns I can pull because they are the ends. So once they are tightened, can you see that the stitch looks perfect? So if you don't want it to come loose, you can always tie a dead knot, but it's not necessarily required because we are going to weave in the ends at the end of our project. So that's how you can tie a dead knot and continue as per normal. So I'm going to undo this. I'm going to show you another method that you can use to make things much better and easier, especially after you finish your project. You need to weave in the ends. So what I'll do, we will still be doing our single crochet as it is, like this. Correct? Everything's still the same, the color has changed. The only thing is, instead of leaving all these yarns dangling behind, I'm going to put them together with my working piece and carry them over. So what do I mean by carrying them over? I am not going to leave them aside. I'm going to pull them over together with my working piece over here, and when I crochet, I include all of them. So I'll pull them through, yarn over and pull through. So this is how I'm going to work to make sure that when I finish the whole pouch, I won't have lots of yarn dangling inside which I have to weave in. This is like a shortcut. But if you are not able to get this right at the first try to do it without the yarns first. And as you go along the way, to change the colors, you can always carry the yarns over to make it work, to make it more convenient for you. So you see how I just carry them over like this. So once you're done carrying them over for about 5 stitches, my magic number is 5. You can always do more or less, it's fine. You can cut away your blue yarn already. You can even trim it as close to your stitch as possible. So trim it over here. Yeah, just cut it off right at the corner over here, because all of this are already tightly secured among your stitches and they are going to be on the inside of your piece. So don't worry about it. So now I'm not going to touch any more of my blue yarn. They are all going to be hidden behind my stitches, and I'm going to continue working on them like this. So still insert your hook, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through both loops. Yeah, so I'm going to finish this round to show you how it will look like. Okay, so we are reaching the end, and as you have noticed, I forgot to put on my stitch marker, but that's deliberate. Because why? Your color changes will be very obvious to tell you which is your last stitch. So definitely this last blue is your last stitch. So after this, you can put on your stitch marker. And you can continue on. So do you see? That's the reason why they are overlapping instead of forming into a straight line. Yeah. So after this, you just have to go on to your next stitch and work on your new round. Did I record everything down again, or is it stopping halfway? Okay, let's see. Hopefully he has recorded everything. It's always scary to see the last part. Remember Terry said that it will shut off after like maybe 15 minutes. So right now, okay, let's see. Okay. So I've done that part, did that one extra stitch. Okay, good. Yeah, I recorded everything. That's perfect. So, right. So this is the unicorn that we are working on, the Unicorn Wonderland Magic Pouch and Unicorn, Yuriko-chan. Yep. So if you're interested in our workshops, make sure that you sign up for our class our online class if you're unable to make it for our physical class. Yep. Otherwise, our in-studio lessons are still ongoing to the end of the year and till next year. Yep, until we have run out of items. Oops, I forgot my clip on again.